The German Shepherd. I mean, you've seen them everywhere, right? The noble police canine, the hero dog in the movies. It's gotta be one of the most iconic dogs on the entire planet. But, and this is a big but, behind that famous image, there's a really complex, really demanding reality that honestly most people just aren't ready for. You know, the American Kennel Club says it's dog-kind's finest all-purpose worker, and yeah, you can totally see why. They just give off this vibe of nobility, crazy intelligence, and that unwavering loyalty. On the surface, it looks like the absolute perfect dog. But is it really? And that's really the heart of what we're going to get into. What if all those things we admire about them, that incredible brain, that relentless drive, that raw power, what if those are the exact same things that make them one of the toughest pets you could ever possibly own? Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. See, this isn't a breed that just kind of evolved over hundreds of years. No way. This dog was literally engineered, designed with a very, very specific job in mind. The whole thing was basically a one-man mission. We're talking the late 1800s, and there's this ex-cavalry captain, Max von Stephanitz, who has this crystal clear vision of the perfect German working dog. So he finds this one dog, Hector, renames him Horond, and then builds an entire breed from him. He used super intensive and often inbred breeding to meticulously lock in every trait he wanted, the brains, the strength, and that just relentless work ethic. And that German identity, it was so strong that after World War I, you had all this anti-German feeling. And that actually led to a name change. In places like the UK, they started calling them the Alsatian wolf dog. Now, the wolf dog part got dropped pretty quick, but the name Alsatian, that actually stuck around for a full 50 years before it was officially changed back. But you know, fast forward to today, and that original single-minded vision, it's kind of fractured. Now, if you're out there looking for a German Shepherd, you're gonna find that the breed has split down two very, very different roads. So on one side, you've got the working lines. Think of these as the elite athletes of the dog world, bred for that extreme drive and intensity. These are the ones you see in police and military roles. Then, on the other side, you have the show lines. They're bred mainly for their looks, for how they appear in the show ring. And yeah, they can be calmer, but that laser focus on appearance has brought on a whole different set of problems. And here's where things get, well, pretty controversial, especially with some of the show lines. It's their physique. They've been bred with this extremely sloped back. They call it a roached back, and it can cause all sorts of gait and health issues. It's a total departure from that powerful, functional animal von Stephanitz first imagined. In fact, the look got so extreme that a BBC documentary once called the breed half dog, half frog. Ouch. So this brings us to the real-world consequences of these super specialized genetics, right? It doesn't matter if you're talking about the insane intensity of the working lines or the specific structure of the show lines. All that power, it comes with a price tag. First, let's talk health. And honestly, this part's tough. German Shepherds are genetically prone to a pretty scary list of conditions. Hip and elbow dysplasia, incredibly common. There's degenerative myopathy, which is just a heartbreaking disease that leads to progressive paralysis. Bloat is a sudden, life-threatening emergency you have to act on immediately. And on top of all that, you have to worry about several different types of cancer. Just to put that into perspective for you, around 20% of all German Shepherds suffer from hip dysplasia. Think about that. That's 1 out of every 5 dogs. This isn't some rare, it'll never happen to me kind of problem. It's a huge risk that any potential owner absolutely has to be ready for, both emotionally and frankly financially. But it's not just the physical stuff. The behavioral challenges can be just as intense. I mean, take the story of a GSD named Bear. He ended up in a shelter simply because his owner could not handle his energy. And like his rescuer said, that incredible drive, it doesn't just magically fade away as they get older. If you don't give it a job, if you don't channel it, these dogs can become anxious, reactive, even destructive. And that, sadly, is why so many of them wind up in shelters. Okay, so that's all the heavy stuff, the bad news. But here's the good news. None of these problems are a foregone conclusion. They're not inevitable. With the right owner and the right approach, this breed's incredible potential can absolutely be unlocked, and in a really safe and successful way. The absolute key here is something called proper fulfillment. See, it's not enough to just love a German Shepherd. You have to satisfy their deep, innate, hardwired need to work. And that means giving them the right combination of exercise, training, and crucially, mental stimulation. It all breaks down into 3 pillars, and I mean, these are non-negotiable. Number 1, rigorous daily exercise, and we're not talking a quick 10-minute walk around the block. We're talking 1 to 2 hours of real activity. 2, purposeful mental stimulation. You have got to keep that brilliant brain of theirs busy. And 3, consistent, structured obedience training. This gives them the rules and the communication they desperately need to thrive. And look, giving them that mental stimulation, it doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be as simple as scattering their dinner in the grass and letting them sniff it out, or hiding some food around the house and playing a find it game. Even a good, structured game of tug of war works. These little things tap into their natural instincts, and trust me, they can make a world of difference in their overall behavior.
All right, so we've seen the ideal image, the tough reality, and the path to success. Let's pull it all together now and come to a final verdict on the German Shepherd.
So if we put together a scorecard for the average pet owner, the results are, well, they're pretty telling. Trainability and intelligence, that's a perfect 10 out of 10. No surprise there. Friendliness with their family, a super high 9. But then you look at the other side of the coin. Friendliness with strangers, that's a 5. With other dogs, a 6. And here's the big one. Health, maintenance, and behavioral stability all come in at a concerning 5 out of 10. What that tells you is that without the right breeding and the right owner, things can go sideways fast. So with a final score of 40 out of 60, it's crystal clear. This is an absolutely amazing breed, but it is not for everyone. Let me be blunt. This is not a starter dog. It demands a serious commitment of your time, your energy, and your money. So the real question here isn't, is the German Shepherd a good dog? The question you have to ask yourself is, am I the right owner for an incredible but also incredibly demanding one?